Hey y'all, we got a interesting video here. We got a PSYOP that's working on 3 or 4 different levels. Like, I remember being a kid and seeing Stephen Hawking and you accept the stuff. Just like when you're 4 or 5 years old and they tell you things, you know, that your senses absolutely deny. But you just accept it because you assume these people in charge, you know more than you, have your best interest in mind or whatever. But this Stephen Hawking PSYOP, so we have this, the original Stephen Hawking, I guess Oxford University, I guess physics department, and then he gets ALS, which the life expectancy is like 2 to 3 years. Well, this actual Stephen Hawking, like nobody notices anything because they're just like, I gotta get to fucking work, right? So they don't notice anything. I'm tired, it's the weekend, I'm weak, I just can't deal with this. I can't look behind the curtain, I'll go down the yellow brick road, I'll get there, but I'm not gonna pull the curtain back to see the dude with all the levers. But anyhow, the guys with the levers worked out this PSYOP, and so they take Stephen Hawking here, and he's in the system. He's probably in one of the societies, bloodline, and they pay his family, and he's an actor here. And remember, the so-called Stephen Hawking, he lived to be like 55 years old. The last time you heard about him, guess where he was? On Epstein's Island, with an actual court order for the photos of him on Epstein's Island. So that's who he hangs with. That's his crowd. That's the crowd we're dealing with. But we'll never actually hear about that. It's behind the curtain. And most people will never actually pull the curtain back and put the pieces together. All right? So what we have here is this preppy blonde kid. He listens to Stephen Hawking sort of mumble for a couple seconds, and then he just goes on a rant about how there's no God and physics is everything, and that's how they do it, right? So the PSYOP here it's just so wacky to have the Stephen Hawking character here being the genius. And like, he's actually speaking, it's like gibberish. And the kid, if you believe in ESP, it's the only way to actually explain what's going on in the video that follows my rant right here. ESP is the only way that the blonde preppy kid can listen to Stephen Hawking here mumble for 2 seconds and then go off about physics and no God, right? And eventually they claim to get him this device that it's like a little pin that sticks against his cheek, and he's apparently moving that with a tick, and he's moving the letters over, and then he's finding the letter. This is actual footage. He's finding the letter, and he's making words out of it, which is possible, right? But doesn't translate to reality, where he's actually speaking in a perfect flow of words. There is no God. There is no God.
So this introduces chance into the laws of the universe.
If Einstein's general theory of relativity is correct, the universe began with a singularity called the Big Bang. Now, because it was a singularity, all the laws of physics broke down. And if that is the case, we can completely predict the state of the universe from the laws of physics.
What you're saying, does it mean that the universe isn't caused?
That's right. The universe does not have any beginning or end. It does not have any cause or consequences.
There is no God.
Hey, actually, it's way worse than that. The statistics of children going into college is something like about 90% believe in God. After their freshman year, it's down to 70. After their sophomore year, it's down to something like 50. Then it gets to 30. Now listen, critically think. Watch this video here.
So exactly what kind of implications fall out of your proposal?
Obviously, implications about the existence and the nature of God. Whether that was an act of God, or whether that too was subject to the laws of science.
This is where the rubber meets the road with the entire physics, science, educational system, all the crap that they're pushing down our throats. The laws of science proving that God doesn't exist, because their so-called laws of science can actually generate this entire intelligence-ordered reality, right? Which goes against, look, I believe in some science if it's an actual, provable, repeatable experiment.
There is no God.
So just look what they're selling, right? What they're selling are these assumptions. And what do these assumptions, these grand assumptions, that we came from an explosion and that, slime turned into monkeys and monkeys turned into people, and it's a dying sun in a dying corner of a dying, exploding, expanding and contracting and big banging and left and right? That's all we got. So there's no room for perfect order, a perfect creator who just wants you to get married and have kids and enjoy life. And all they got is this.
Yeah, so in a sense, the uncertainty principle is telling us that the universe is behaving in a completely chaotic way, or to a certain degree.
But what do they give us?
Theory.
There is no God.
So what we think happened is that the universe was accelerating exponentially fast. It means it was doubling and doubling and doubling in size. Theory. And the numbers are ridiculous.
This crap here with the numbers, if you ask me, is the most brilliant part of the PSYOP, right? Remember Carl Sagan? It's billions and billions and billions and millions, and the universe is 13.8 billion years old, and the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and it's expanding at 1 trillion miles an hour, and we're going around the sun at 60,000 miles an hour, and this whole solar system is going at 500,000 miles an hour. Well, it's all expanding at trillions and gonna contract at trillions, and look, I just gotta get to fucking work. That's what the average person's thinking. Plus, the average mind, it goes blank. It goes blank after probably 10,000. It goes blank. And so then, when your mind goes blank there, that's when they shovel in their shit. They just shovel it right in, right? Like Bill Nye, the guy was just a comedian. That's all he was.
You're goddamn right! 'Cause my sex junk is so
Goddamn right! 'Cause my sex junk is so
Bill Nye has a degree in engineering, but how many people actually get their science from him? And how many people have actually gotten their worldview from him? How many millions of people have pushed God aside because of a comedian, Bill Nye? And I'm not even going with Neil deGrasse Tyson. The guy's been to Epstein Island so many times, it's ridiculous. This guy talking, his name's Brian Cox. He was in a boy band. And now he's like the face of physics. They're like, look, forget the boy band. Here's your new job. We're going to put you on a world tour of stadiums, and you're going to talk about how there's no God and everything's meaningless.
But the most distant object is 13.2 thousand million light years away.
Let us have Brian Cox tell us how it all started, from an atom into an explosion, from slime to monkey people to intelligence. All right, let's go, Brian.
We think that if you started with a universe that was smaller than a single atom, then it would be bigger by a long way than the whole observable universe, with 350 billion galaxies in it, in less than a millionths of a second. Quantum theory of gravity, it's some kind of unification between our theory of everything else, which are called quantum theories, and our theory of gravity, which is Einstein's theory. It's the best theory we have. So we need a better theory. A millionths of a second. So somebody has to come up with a better theory, and no one's been clever enough to do so far.
Religion was an early attempt to answer the questions we all ask. Why are we here? Where did we come from? Where did we come from? Nowadays, science provides better and more consistent answers, but people will always cling to religion. There is no God. There is nothing south of the South Pole, so there was nothing around before the Big Bang.
A millions of a second.
And the best scientific theories, in physics, for example, and also now evolution, are mathematical. So our theories are going to be, they're going to have their own assumptions, and they'll be mathematically precise. And there'll be theories perhaps of everything except those assumptions, because the assumptions are, we say, please grant me these assumptions. If you grant me these assumptions, then I can explain this other stuff.
Grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, like the fact that these Freemasons are coming at us from every angle and every psyop to convince us that what we see with our own eyes, what we experience, like we did as children, that the magical existence of creation, how they extinguished it when we were like 5, 6 years old. And we said, no, it can't be. And they said, shut up, I'm the teacher. It is, and it's billions and billions and billions and millions, and you just don't understand.
But so you have the assumptions that are like miracles as far as the theory is concerned. They're not explained. They're the starting points for explanation. And then you have the mathematical structure of the theory itself.
Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation, and the further they go, the further they get from reality. This guy, though, he didn't follow along, and he ended up broke in a hotel.
What was around before the Big Bang?
Nothing was around before the Big Bang. There is nothing south of the South Pole, so there was nothing around before the Big Bang.
666. Murder, Jesus. 666. Murder, Jesus. 666.
Okay, peace, y'all.